Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Discussion on Military Affairs. The U.S. has just made Iran's missile stockpile disappear. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is holding its breath, closely following the secret peace negotiations in Pakistan, where outrageous demands and ruthless geopolitical calculations are gradually being revealed. Is this the light at the end of the tunnel to end the war? Or is it just the prelude to a conflict more catastrophic than ever before? In today's special video, we will unravel the shocking developments taking place behind the velvet curtain of international diplomacy. Iran wants to turn the Strait of Hormuz, the economic lifeline of all humanity, into a mafia-style toll station. An act of global economic hostage-taking unprecedented in history. President Trump's secret gift. What is the truth behind the huge reward that Mr. Trump just received? Is that the key to opening the door to peace, or just a cunning psychological tactic? The sword of the Pentagon. While diplomats smile in front of the cameras, thousands of elite paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division and the Marine Amphibious Force are quietly moving closer to the other island. A top-secret amphibious assault plan is ready to be launched if negotiations break down. A 1,000-year-old feud has erupted. Why is Saudi Arabia urging the United States to continue the war? The confrontation between Shia and Sunni is restructuring the entire Middle East in the most tragic and harsh way. While the whole world is holding its breath waiting for a miracle of peace, the Saudi government have just made an unprecedented, crazy demand, wanting to turn humanity's economic lifeline into a mafia-style toll station at sea. Immediately, thousands of elite paratroopers from the U.S. 82nd Airborne Division received orders for a rapid deployment, ready to flatten strategic bases if negotiations collapse, pushing the world into a direct and unprecedentedly terrifying confrontation. Immediately, a huge gift worth billions of dollars was sent from Tehran to the White House. But behind that glamorous facade is a brutal religious purge conspiracy quietly taking shape in the heart of the Middle East. The Saudi Crown Prince is urgently pushing for an all-out war to completely wipe out the Iranian government, turning these negotiations into a life-and-death gamble where every signature could be paid for with blood and the downfall of a dynasty. As the last 1,000 missiles are about to run out in their arsenal, Tehran is preparing for the most daring and reckless move in history, to seize the entire coastline of the UAE and Bahrain in order to turn the tide. Is this the final threat of a beast cornered with no way out? Or is it a deadly trap waiting for the U.S. Marine Fleet, while the skies over Iran are completely controlled by new generation fighter jets? Secret peace negotiations have officially begun, but the demands being put on the table right now are truly a shocking madness. While top officials are quietly gathering in a neutral country to try to extinguish the flames of war, the Iranian government has just made an unbelievable demand. They want the legal right to hold the global economy hostage. Tehran is craving absolute control over the planet's most vital waterway, aiming to set up a mafia-style toll system right on the sea. Since the United States won't easily fall for this blackmail, even as diplomats are weighing their options at the negotiating table, the Pentagon has quietly activated thousands of elite paratroopers from the Rapid Response Force. They are deploying side by side with a Marine Amphibious Force moving in, ready for a top-secret amphibious assault if the negotiations break down. Now let's break down what's really happening and what scenarios may lie ahead. Negotiations have resumed and a crucial summit is expected to take place in Islamabad, Pakistan. On the U.S. side, the most powerful figures have appeared, such as Sudabans, Steve Vukov, Zad Kuzner, and also Marco Rubio. Across from them, the Iranian side sent the National Assembly chairman and the experienced foreign affairs minister, a regular in negotiations. Especially the last person on the list was once a member of the Security Council, but it seems he is now taking on a new role after a series of shocking assassinations have occurred. The constant personnel changes make it impossible for us to confirm exactly what his current position is. The biggest question right now is why choose to negotiate with Iran at this moment? What made the situation so urgent that they had to come to the negotiating table? Is it because the United States is feeling the pressure, or is it actually Iran who is suffocating? When asked about this issue yesterday, President Trump gave a very meaningful answer. He confirmed they will move toward an agreement. Iran has been truly surprising. They sent a very valuable gift, a huge reward worth a lot of money. Although he did not reveal the details, he emphasized that this is an extremely important step, proving that we are working with the right authorities. Many people wonder if that gift is related to nuclear technology or not, but the answer is no. It is related to oil and gas, a gesture of goodwill. Although no one knows exactly what this gift is, it's unlikely to be an oil tanker heading to the US because satellites would easily detect it. It's most likely a ship that Iran has allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz as a demonstration of sincerity. The statistics have reinforced this hypothesis. Before the war broke out, more than 100 ships passed through each day. But when the fighting started, that number dropped to single digits, and at times even to zero. In the past 3 days, the number of ships has quietly increased again. This could be the gift that Trump mentioned. Currently, the negotiations have officially resumed, and it seems that the United States has fired the first shot by putting forward an opening proposal. This proposal contains 15 important points, including a 1-month ceasefire agreement to maintain the momentum of negotiations. Among them, the first 11 points are the tough demands from the US, and the last 3 points are the benefits that Iran will receive if they agree. First, Iran must completely dismantle its existing nuclear capabilities, specifically its nuclear facilities. Second, Iran must commit to never pursuing nuclear weapons. And third, absolutely must not enrich uranium on Iranian territory. Fourth, Iran must hand over its stockpile of about 450 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% to the IRGC, the United Nations Supervisory Agency. Fifth, the nuclear facilities at Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordo must be completely dismantled. Sixth, the IAEA must be granted full access, transparency, and strict monitoring inside Iran. Seventh, Iran must abandon the model of using proxy forces in the region. Eighth, Iran must stop funding, directing, and arming these groups. Ninth, the Strait of Hormuz must be kept completely open as a free maritime corridor. 10th, Iran's missile program will be limited in both range and quantity, with specific thresholds to be determined later. And 11th, any future use of missiles will be limited to self-defense purposes only. Most of these demands are similar to what the United States required when the war broke out. At that time, Iran flatly refused. This was confirmed by both the Iranian foreign minister and the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. However, there is a notable change. It seems that the United States has agreed to let Iran maintain a certain missile stockpile, perhaps around 1,000 missiles, but only for self-defense purposes. In return, what will Iran get? They will receive a complete lifting of sanctions from the international community. The United States will assist Iran in developing its civilian nuclear program, including electricity production at the Bushehr plant. Notably, the snapback mechanism for automatically restoring sanctions if Iran breaks the deal will be removed. To be honest, these are not new offers. The United States has made them before. The likelihood of Iran accepting immediately is very low, but remember that this is just an opening offer. That's why the parties need to meet to find the intersection between what Iran wants and what the United States can accept. Despite rumors on social media, the New York Times affirms that Iran is actually in contact with Washington, even though they always publicly deny it. That's a crucial detail we must stay alert to and remember, as it's a trap public opinion can easily fall into. The media and even Iranian officials will never openly admit that they are sitting at the negotiating table with the United States. The reason behind this secrecy is very pragmatic. If they admit it, global oil prices will immediately plummet, and that would inadvertently take away the most important trump card for Iran to negotiate a more favorable deal. In this geopolitical game, the higher the oil prices, the greater the chance for Iran to secure favorable terms. So even if they're ready to sign a deal in the future, they will still firmly deny this reality until the last minute to maintain pressure on the global energy market. However, despite those calculated denials, the Wall Street Journal has revealed Iran's ambitious demands as they enter this battle of wits. This can be considered a very firm offer from Iran. They firmly demand the closure of all U.S. military bases in the region, as well as compensation for the damage their infrastructure has suffered after the attacks. The most shocking part is their plan to create a new legal framework for the Strait of Hormuz. Iran wants to charge fees from every ship passing through this route, similar to how Egypt manages the Suez Canal or how Panama operates its canal. However, the difference here is enormous. While the Suez and Panama Canals are man-made structures built and maintained on national territory, the Strait of Hormuz is a natural international waterway. This is a red line that the United States will probably never agree to compromise on. And if Iran refuses to back down on this issue, the prospect of the U.S. military deploying ground troops could very well become a reality. In addition, Iran's other demands include assurances that the war will not stop until Israel ends its airstrikes on Hezbollah. They demand the complete removal of all sanctions, a demand that the U.S. is willing to meet if Iran accepts the reciprocal conditions. And finally, Tehran is determined to maintain its missile program without accepting any limitations.
Về tầm bắn hay số lượng.
It can be seen that both sides are making demands as if they hold all the power on the battlefield, even though in reality, Iran has suffered heavy losses with the assassination of its supreme leader. When asked why he chose to trust Iran at this time, President Trump shared that they are talking reasonably and have agreed never to possess nuclear weapons. However, history tells a different story, one that is tragic and harsh. For decades, Iran has always insisted that they are not building nuclear weapons. Their actions often go against their promises or even the nuclear agreements they have signed. That is why a strict inspection mechanism is essential to determine whether Iran is telling the truth or just creating a smokescreen to buy more time. Another notable hypothesis being raised is that Iran's willingness to negotiate may not come from a desire for peace, but because their missile stockpile is actually running low. According to reports from the Daily Mail, Iran may have only about 1,000 missiles left after the intense bombardments in the area. Even though they still possess a formidable force, Syed drones, which could number in the hundreds of thousands, are easily mass-produced even amidst the chaos of war. But their supply of strategic ballistic missiles is clearly shrinking. This trend is evident in the sharply decreasing frequency of missile launches targeting the UAE compared to the early stages. It's possible that Iran is deliberately conserving weapons to maintain long-term pressure on the global economy or to be ready to respond in case of unexpected escalations. However, this tactic is also full of risks because American and Iranian fighter jets, which currently have complete control of the skies, can detect and destroy Iran's missile cities or underground silos before they have a chance to fire. However, in stark contrast to their caution on the battlefield, Iran's state media is making arrogant and aggressive threats. Just yesterday, Iran's national television openly threatened to launch a full-scale invasion targeting the coasts of the UAE and Bahrain. They declared that Iran's armed forces are fully prepared for large-scale amphibious operations and that if the Americans make even a small mistake in the region, they will immediately seize the entire coastline of these two countries. Massive military exercises have been put on the agenda to completely change the regional situation. This is a tense psychological game, where the bold statements on television seem to be trying to cover up the real fears and weaknesses of the military apparatus in the face of the opponent's overwhelming power. Let's put aside the deadly coordinates and technical details for now, because in reality, Iran is quietly maneuvering and shifting the situation, preparing to launch counterattacks that will make the enemy regret and be stunned. It can be said that they are keeping all backup options for themselves in case the negotiations break down. The United States is certainly not falling behind in this high-stakes game. According to the latest reports, the Pentagon is urgently preparing to deploy 3,000 elite troops from the notorious 82nd Airborne Division to Iran. This is one of the most elite rapid response forces of the United States, capable of swiftly deploying a battalion of about 1,000 troops within just 18 hours or an entire brigade of 3,000 people in only 72 hours. Notably, this force will coordinate operations with 2,500 Marines who are on their way from their base in Japan to the Middle East aboard the amphibious ship USS Chipre. This fleet is expected to arrive at the port next week, bringing overwhelming firepower and ready to seize another island. This island is vital to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, as it is the massive financial source that sustains all of their activities. Washington believes that if they can control this strategic island, they will create crushing pressure from both sides, forcing the Iranian government to unconditionally open the Strait of Hormuz. In the event that diplomatic efforts reach a dead end, this will definitely be the top target that we need to pay special attention to. In another dramatic development, the New York Times has just revealed shocking information that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been continuously urging President Trump to continue the war despite the attacks raining down on his own country. For Saudi Arabia, this is not just an ordinary conflict, but a once-in-a-lifetime historic opportunity to restructure the entire region and establish a new, more sustainable security order. The deep-seated enmity between Saudi Arabia and Iran has been simmering for a long time, and now as Iran directly targets civilians, critical infrastructure, and Saudi's iconic oil refineries, the outrage has reached its peak. They are more eager than ever to see the collapse of the Iranian regime. When asked about this issue, President Trump indirectly confirmed this close alliance by calling Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman a true warrior who is fighting side by side with the United States. He also did not forget to lavish praise on the excellent cooperation from the UAE and Qatar, creating an unprecedentedly strong military alliance. Another hidden aspect of this war that many people have unintentionally overlooked is the deep division along religious lines in the Muslim world. Iran, a country with a majority Shia population, is carrying out attacks targeting a series of neighboring countries such as the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain, which are nations with a majority Sunni population. This conflict carries the risk of reshaping the entire Middle East based on deep-rooted sectarian tensions. According to the insightful analysis of Professor Michael Clark, the entire Middle East is undergoing a comprehensive reassessment of its politics and security policies. The differences between the Shia and Sunni branches are not simply a matter of faith, but a sharp division that has led to bloody wars throughout history. With around 2 billion Muslims worldwide, although Shia make up only 10 to 15%, they are heavily concentrated in strategic locations in the Middle East, forming a strong counterbalance to the Sunni world led by Saudi Arabia. The clash between these two power blocs is a survival issue on all levels. While the population of Saudi Arabia is dispersed, in Iran, the high concentration along with Shia communities stretching down to Yemen and Turkey will be key factors driving a new and turbulent political landscape for the entire region when the flames of war finally die down. In your opinion, is the secret gift related to oil and gas that the president keeps mentioning actually a backroom deal, or is it just a delaying tactic by Iran? If Iran insists on collecting fees at the Strait of Hormuz, do you think the U.S. will seek peace with concessions or launch a large-scale amphibious assault